We're a group of GenXers learning about our ADHD and neurodiversity later in life. Join us as we discuss interesting clips we find online and how they relate to our own life experiences. Welcome to This Is How My Brain Works.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of This Is How My Brain Works. My name is Krista, and I am joined today with Michael, Sarah, and Rudy. And it is my day to share a video, a little clip, and I just wanted to have some fun today. So I hope you guys like it. Hold on one second while I share my screen. This clip is from stand-up comedian Derek Stroop, who has this really wonderful new stand-up. I don't know how new it is, but out about being a 90s kid. So here's just a little bit from it.
Serious. I gained 20 pounds during the quarantine because I got into Crockpots real heavy. We've all messed around with a Crockpot or two, but I bought a power strip. I started running 4 or 5 at a time. I couldn't believe that they invented something I could forget about and absolutely nail. I mean, can y'all believe that? I have ADHD. Nothing in this world's ever been built for me. Everything's built against me, but not Crockpots. They're made for us, ADHD people. I mean, people come over, they're like, Derek, these are the best beans I've ever had. What'd you do to it? I'm like, I'll be honest, I forgot about it. Yeah, 17 hours on the low. How about that? Hey, thank y'all so much.
Okay. I just thought it was fun.
I love this clip, and I didn't even communicate this to you all, but I was like, we should be focusing on some clips that demonstrate the ADHD superpowers instead of all the and neurodiversity and autism, that where we're not having to deal with something, or and this is like, I love how he talks about playing into the ADHDer's strengths of, oh yeah, I forgot I was even cooking beans. Don't have to do anything.
You know what? There's something to be said about the fact that we're talking about it in a way that we can make light of it and almost make fun of it a little bit. We're all like, now everyone's like, I have ADHD. And you know what? Last week I could have taken pictures of 16 cabinets open. Just we had talked about cabinets opening. I mean, we're okay with it. Like, I'm okay to freely say to Lisa, look at that, I left the cabinet open. Or last night when I literally took the cap off some olives, it was a 3-second span, lost it, completely lost it. And I went right in there and she's like, what are you looking for? I said, I just had the top to the olives, have no idea where I put it down. I'm mindless. And so now we're like, we laugh about it. We laugh about, how I sort of operate and the things that bother her that don't bother her anymore. Like, she's like, I'm just learning all of this stuff. So I'm glad a comedian can make light of, and you know what? In a way, it's kind of a superpower. I mean, I don't know.
I wonder though, Rudy, like you maybe not feeling as much shame about something, or just being more accepting of how things work. I mean, that does lighten the energy you're giving off. And so I think Lisa can then not feel the weight of that stress or turmoil about you kicking yourself or wondering like, how could I be like,
hey, I kick myself about it and I'm ashamed about it because it's frustrating. Then I have to waste like 30 minutes finding this or finding that. And I've got all these other things going on, but, and we've talked about this before, I'm accepting of it.
Yeah.
I'm more accepting of those things.
There's a thing, like, I'm up in Steamboat with my kiddos and, packing them up and then unloading the car and then getting some dinner going. And then, so that's a lot of stuff going on right there. And then on top of that, I'll see like, oh, here's the razor I left last time I was here. I better right now go put that up with my adopt kit and put it in there. That becomes now the priority thing. So, I got that impulse control and things like that on top of all these other things you're doing. And so what I'm learning right now in therapy is the idea. Oh, something has happened there.
Yay.
Oh,
Sorry. For
uh,
for our
that-
listeners, fireworks just went off behind.
there are these
Michael.
gesturing things now. You make some sort of gesture and something happens to your screen. But learning about this idea of disembodiment and how we spend a lot of time up in our heads and we're not paying attention to our body and how our body's feeling and the warning signs our body is giving us. And if you like in those moments where I'm starting to feel flooded or overwhelmed, I'm starting to like just tune in like, okay, where's my body? How's my body feeling? Apparently there's a lot of just kind of nerves endings wrapped around the heart and it can really influence emotional states. And so if you can kind of, my new saying is, instead of thinking my way through it, I'm going to feel my way through it, pay more attention to my body. And by doing that, it's helping me relax a little bit, kind of regulate a little bit. If I know that I'm just up in my head, like problem solving over, taxing myself, which is why this Crockpot, you literally have 5 ingredients that you jam in there, lock it down, and turn it on.
So this is one of the reasons why I left and brought it in. One of them is because we talk about food a lot on this, because of Rudy is a cook. We all cook. Sarah cooks, I cook. So we talk about food a lot. So I thought it was funny. But the other thing that really resonated with me is when he says, nothing in this world is built for me except the Crockpot. And I was like, oh, that really resonated. And then what you were just saying is I've been really 2 things. I've been really, it still boggles my mind that people do not, I think narrate in their heads as much as we do. Like even today, I was like, okay, so you know how I am about washing my hair, you guys, and I got a big meeting today. So I had to wash my hair, which means I had to renegotiate the rest of my schedule to get back on schedule for next week. And that takes up an inordinate amount of space in my head when that happens, the hair washing schedule. So, but that is not abnormal for someone with my flavor of neurocomplexity, but it is completely abnormal for other humans who don't narrate in their heads the same way I do. So when I have a crock pot, the only thing I usually get really scared about with my crock pot is I forgot to turn it on,
Right.
Which I have done, thrown everything in and then walked out the door and didn't turn it on. So those were fun nights.
God.
And then and I don't remember the last thing I was going to say. It was something about, but I am fascinated with this idea that I think we narrate so much in our heads too, because this world is not built for us. And it's a workaround all the time.
Yes. Good call. Yeah. You're working around or it's like, okay, I know I'm sitting in this meeting, but I'm registering 5% of it. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to then, what's the content of this meeting, read through this deck again later, or just like overtaxing the brain in. So I was thinking about this today a little bit, like how much of my life have I spent.
Doesn't it boggle your mind though that there are people who don't have that, Michael? Like
it does. I don't understand it.
Like it's this linear path towards just like the objective.
It sounds very Zen. It sounds very Winnie the Pooh, like, oh, just walking through the meadow. Look at that tree, instead of like spending time, most of my time spent in anticipation and worry. And it's like, that's not healthy.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. And then the other thing is what you're saying about like feeling your way through it, as opposed to like, how we all love Mel Robbins. I came across one of her things that she said her daughter does this thing where she says her new mantra is let them.
Oh.
I'm doing it with my kids all the time. Like my kids will do things like, I'm going to make, it's 4:30. We're having dinner at 6:30, but I'm going to make myself a sandwich. And so I will go, we're having dinner in an hour and it's been in the crock pot. So it's happening. So you're not going to eat dinner with the family, or what's happening? And then lately I've just been going, you know what? I guess you're having a sandwich for dinner. Let them. And it's so funny because I'm doing it a lot with my youngest, who's about to be 15 soon. And he was just like, I love this let them thing. But what it does is all of that is for me right now, it's all of that stress that you're talking about that I can feel like with the elephant on my chest or whatever, the thing that because I've got a kid who wants to work outside of the schedule or whatever, it actually, the moment I say, oh, nope, let him, it just releases.
You feel that, yeah, there's a sense of relaxation.
You know what the synonym for that, the synonym for let them is? It won't mean a thing in 100 years. It just won't. Let them eat a sandwich at 4:30. What's really like
mean a thing tomorrow?
And it won't mean a thing tomorrow. I that 4 o'clock or like I would always get really upset when they were like,
yep.
What do you eat? Why are you putting in taquitos? Why are you putting in 10 taquitos right now? I just made a brisket that's going to be out in an hour and we're having dinner and I've got potatoes and stuff and they're hungry. And then, I mean, as a kid, I remember my mom always saying, why are you, you can't snack now. Don't eat that. There's a lot of food shame back in the day. Like you weren't allowed to eat certain things at certain times.
But also an expectation to the family dinner, everyone sitting around the table, the family dinner. There was some sort of thing about like some sort of like, what was that?
It was a law. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was like a lot. Like, what does that do? Is that keep the family together? Is this like
we got rid of the family dinner in the last couple of years because we have breakfast together. And at breakfast, if we plan it right, at breakfast, everybody is fresh. We can set intentions or talk about it. And then by the time we get to dinner as a neurodivergent household, we're exhausted, overstimulated, and don't need to be around each other.
People start sharpening their swords at that time, like at 9 o'clock. Like,
so what's funny is that that scenario, Krista, that you're talking about, we're adopting that more and more because of like, why are we trying to force this thing? Our kids are just wrecks and dysregulated. I'm not even hungry. It's just like, why are we forcing this thing? Watching the grandparents like have an issue with like, why aren't your kids sitting down at the table? Why is your kid moving? It's like, it's so important to them. It's just really interesting seeing how uncomfortable they are with like, it's like you're not respecting the family or you're not respecting something going.
There's research, right, around like if a family, like, I don't know, there's research around how the family is closer or whatever if you have dinner together a certain number of times a week or whatever.
Okay.
But I was like, why? It can't be dinner. It has to just be a meal. I mean, the whole point is like you're getting together, right? So why does it have to be dinner if we're a family that by dinner we all want to like poke each other in the face? So, and I will say the times that we have a birthday, I mean, we do family dinners like once a week. We'll do a dinner like on a day that's not stressful or whatever. And then we actually have fun and laugh and talk and play games and do stuff because it's not like like the other night someone came in and said, isn't it family dinner? And I was like, I just can't, guys. And everybody was like, oh. And I was like, well, if you go sit at the table together, it's family dinner. So go do it. We don't have to like have the sign out and declare it, but anyway, Sarah.
And I do like the breakfast idea.
Chicken thighs are easy to make because you don't have to like.
I love chicken thighs.
I love chicken thighs, but
no one can tell if they're undercooked.
Undercooked, but you can let them go for a long time. Chicken thighs, and they don't dry out ever.
I like chicken thighs.
We
all agree on that.
Sarah has not said a peep. She's had a snack. She's listened. She's been cute.
She's had a family dinner.
Not one peep. What's up, Sarah? No, I can't hear you. Maybe that's why. She's been talking the whole time, you guys. You're just on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
No, I wasn't on mute the whole time, but maybe for a little bit on a different way that I didn't realize that button could do it too. Anyway, newsflash, let me is instead of let them, which I also believe in let them, let the kids, like how many times are they going to annoy the crap out of us and not see any of the work? Oh my God. I had a friend who has 2 kids who've gone off to college and come back. And she texted, "Is your oldest back yet?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "How's the reintegration going?" And then a bunch of laughing faces.
So this is
And
a college kid coming back to the
It,
humdrum of a household.
and so we had a moment where, so we're sharing a car that I drive carpool in. And to get to carpool, I use the whole car. The dogs are in the way back, the kids are in the middle. I have another kid in the front seat, and we drive to school. And she had put, my oldest who borrowed the car had left a big bag of clothes in the back, way back where the dogs go. So I was early enough that one morning that they were there that I could run them all the way inside and put them in the living room. The next morning I'm driving and I go to drive and I'm running a little bit late, and there's now 2 bags in the back of the car. And I'm like, oh, it's having sex back here. They're multiplying these bags, but I didn't have time to run them inside. So I threw them into the garage and went off and drove carpool and took the dogs to the park and came back. And then I was working. And so I'm working and I get this kid yelling at me, Mom, what'd you do with the bags that were in the back of the car? And I was like, oh, I put them in the garage. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. And it was this very turnabout moment where, because when they borrowed the car, it's been very annoying. And I won't put them on blast of some of the things that they have left in my car that I then have to drive 5th graders to school with that in my car. I'm like, oh my God, kid. Not everybody is 19. Not everybody is 19 and wants a 19-year-old car. So please button it up a little. So anyway, the bags, long story short, I moved them, but she thought they were there, took off across town, got to where she was going to sell them. I don't know what she was doing with these 2 bags of clothes, but she had to come all the way home to get them again. Yeah, and it was turnabout because, like, how many times has she left me a car on empty? Yeah, I love her. I won't say any of the things, but
But I think that's yes, it's very nice for you not to put this, but that's very typical. I was sort of like the story I was saying today when my kid said I couldn't use his microphone, and I was literally like, but you have new stuff, kiddo. You've got new stuff, and you got to understand, like, the sacrifices that are made for you all to be first in the household mean that sometimes you need to make the sacrifices back.
And she's ADHD. So I threw a big wrench in her routine, in all of the things. And she did come in blazing for her because she's not a very quick to anger kind of person. But she came in kind of hot.
A lot.
Yeah, which I can, in retrospect, recognize as probably ADHD rage, like she got all the way.
Well, it's so funny because the more that I'm accepting that this is how my brain works, because I feel I'm still very much on this journey, the more I'm able to verbalize or understand how much energy is put into finally doing the thing, finally cleaning out my closet, or finally, like, the amount of like that could have taken me, and this is no joke, 2 months worth of mental energy to finally physically take what was in my head into purpose and action.
Oh my God.
And so
did you clean out your closet this week?
I did.
How long did it take?
Can we all do like
how long did it physically take? Oh, probably a couple hours. How long did it take me in my brain before I did it? Weeks.
Done.
Weeks planning. It's done now. But but think about it though. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when someone does come in, and still, by the way, I have one more pile of shoes I have to go through. So it is fully clean except for that. But the shoes are not done because someone came in and said, I need you to come do something else. And now it could take me another 2 weeks to get that freaking pile of shoes done because someone pulled aside. Right. So you have to appreciate, I think, with all of that we do, is like how much energy we put into finally getting the thing done. And if it doesn't get fully done because something happened to get you off, then you just know you're gonna have a pile of shoes for another couple weeks.
Well,
You know, it's like,
okay,
that's the thing.
Krista, I have a question.
Oh,
For
yeah.
me, anytime someone uses the word pile, that's scary. A pile of anything is scary. And what I was going to ask Michael, do you own a pile of shoes? Like, could
You know.
you make a pile of shoes?
Maybe a bin, not a pile.
Oh.
I have a
Oh
few
my
pair.
God.
mean,
I found a
piles,
great
think
pair of
about it,
shoes
A pile of anything, like, hey, we got a pile of, I got a pile of dirt. I got a pile of dirt out there. You got to go get. And a pile is like, a pile of shoes, how daunting.
I found a great pair of shoes in that pile of shoes, and I don't even remember.
Right,
I don't remember purchasing them. I don't remember ever having them on my feet.
There's so many, of course. You've got like, oh, hey, awesome.
But I wore them already once because I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a new pair of shoes.
It is a new pair of shoes.
Well, so this idea of like, I think as a neurodiverse population, we tend to take on too many things and overextend ourselves. And so one of the things that I'm learning is that I don't have to do all that. And if I do, I'm not showing up in a great way because I am taxed. I'm irritable. I have what's called in the low frustration threshold. That's another little term I learned about. It's like you get frustrated easily. So when you start setting those boundaries, or like Sarah, you start kind of like saying, well, I put them in these bags of clothes in the garage, and that's just what's up. Or any kind of boundary you might set, but I'm not going to take that on. I'm not going to be the rescuer of that situation. I'm not going to be I'm not going to try to prove my worth by doing this, and this. When you set those boundaries, initially you kind of feel lazy. You're like, I'm not doing anything. And it's so bizarre, because what you're doing is you're taking care of yourself. You're making sure you're showing up with energy to actually do things, but you feel lighter, and it's like there's a relaxing kind of feeling.
I'll give you a perfect example.
When you set a boundary, a reasonable boundary, and communicate that thing, it's like magic.
But you heal your people pleasing when you do that. Do you realize that?
It's a double thing. You heal your people pleasing. Yes, absolutely. And you show up better. Your energy is better. You're putting out better energy to your family.
Here's what happened to me. I got up yesterday. I got up at my normal time, right before 4 o'clock, got to work at 5, worked a whole day, played golf at 1:45 till 7 o'clock. And in that time, I get a text. We've got a clogged, our sink is clogged and downstairs clogged. Can't run the water. Everything's backed up in the house. Well, I had forgotten. Just played golf, 7 o'clock. I come home. We've got a lady who helps me with my garden out front. So we were doing the garden thing. It's 8 o'clock. I haven't eaten. I go inside. I realize I've got clogged lines all over the place. And I've got bits of broccoli and like carrots, you know what I mean? Coming up from hey, all right. So I immediately, I didn't shower. I didn't do anything. Lisa went upstairs. She said, do you need anything? And then she closed the door, knowing that don't get in my way. I took out a 50-foot snake, and I was sweating. I worked on it about 40 minutes. And finally I said, you know what, Jason, you got to stop. You're killing yourself. I mean, I really had this sort of internal conversation, like, dude, just stop. You know what? Yes, you're going to be at work tomorrow. Lisa will call. Have her call in the morning. Tell her who to call, or, whatever it is, have her call in the morning. I stopped. I went upstairs. I made myself a sandwich. and it felt like, I mean, it just felt like a huge weight off of me.
The
And I was
burden.
able to make the decision because you know that I wanted to finish that project and clear the line and be like the hero, not only
Totally.
for me, but you know, like, I cleared the line. And I've done that so many times before where I like, but it's 9 o'clock at night nearly. And I haven't given myself any time. I haven't eaten. I haven't even, in the last 2 hours since I'm home, I didn't even grab any water for myself.
I think that's a
wasn't
huge
taking care.
win. I actually think that's a
It's huge.
huge win.
No, and I'm finding,
Yeah.
and just like all of us, I'm finding little moments where like, dude, you can't do it. Also, you're a middle-aged man and it hurts your back and your knees and like your neck. You're like, you know what? You know that the body's, you know,
Tap out. I call it
control-
tapping out.
I tapped out. And guess
I
what?
bought-
They came today, they fixed it, no problem. I get a little bit of cleanup. It's like everything worked out just fine. But like you were talking about, it's the worry, the anticipation of what could happen. You know, is this going to be, you know, oh, the weekend's coming up, they won't be able to get to it. You know, is it going to be $1,000 job? You know, like all that worry and anticipation and, you know, can I get there on time and to work? And will she need the car? And should I, you know, it's all those things that never come to fruition.
Living in the
It's
wreckage
tough.
of your future.
So,
Yeah, right.
That's my.
but it all
that's the
worked out.
thing.
But
Well-
I thank you for saying that, Michael, because I'm finally learning to just stop and say, look, it's not going to mean a thing in 100 years. This will get taken care of. The plumbing will get taken care of. You don't need to do it at 9 o'clock at night where you haven't done one thing for yourself except play golf with your friends. You know what I mean? Which I feel a little bit embarrassed about, like I should have been home cleaning this, but it did feel really good. Really good.
Well,
So yes, thank you for.
That's the let them. That's the let them. Like I
Let them.
literally can hear
the let
myself.
them.
Like I looked at Cash last night with that sandwich and he said, I'm going to make myself a turkey sandwich. I said, just, you're going to make it at 4:30. You're going to make that turkey sandwich right now. You know, we're having dinner soon. It's right there in the crock pot. You can smell it. Do you want to taste it? And he was like, I just want a turkey sandwich. And I went, well, I mean, it's right. But, and then I paused and I said, I looked at him out loud and I said, let them. And he goes, let me.
the kids, they love it. They love it.
And he said, I said, yes, fine, let them. And then I started to walk away. He goes, I love let them.
Well, thank you, Krista, for bringing Crockpot back into the conversation. It's unfortunate that we didn't touch on a few more things that were built for the ADHD, or maybe there aren't any. Maybe it's just the Crockpot.
Well, we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds. So is there anything else that has been built for us? No, Sarah, you're not going to bring it in at the last minute? Something great? Karaoke built for the ADHDer.
That's
Well, because
terrible.
the songs are short, they've got the words right there for you. You can turn the singer up if you need.
I'm going to say TikTok because it's where I possibly learned that I have a community that my brain is different.
Yep.
Anyone else?
What was the what
Oh,
works?
what is built for the ADHD? Oh, Apple Watch it. Or any sort of, I think watches for many. Yeah, mine is down right now, but I think that can be a real helpful situation.
Well, even this little stress thing, sometimes it'll pop up and like, you seem stressed. Do you want to try some breathing? You know, it's like,
That may have been
okay.
why I took mine off. Because then
You know
what is the
For me-
oppositional one? Because it would come up and I'd be like, screw you. Don't tell me to meditate.
I think
You
for
don't
me,
know me.
what was built for me was the Starbucks 4-shot Americano, Grande Americano. I mean that. I'm not kidding.
the 4-shot.
I
Oh,
do a
Four shot? I'm not sure.
4-shot Grande Americano was like made for me.
I'm not
Made
sure
for
that's
me.
good for your ADHD. I'm not sure.
It is.
For your
I'm
heart.
not sure either, but it tastes so delicious every day. I love it.
And if Starbucks would like to sponsor us or Crockpot, we are open to all every offer.
Accepting
All right.
all sponsorship.
Thanks again for everybody for listening to us talk about crockpots and our brains this week. And we'll see you next time on This Is How My Brain Works.
Hmm. If you like this episode of This Is How My Brain Works, please like, subscribe, and share. For more info on today's clip, the hosts, and our podcast, check out the show notes. Thanks for listening.